Carlini obeyed, rejoined his comrades, folded himself in his cloak, and soon appeared to sleep as soundly as the rest. It had been resolved the night before to change their encampment. An hour before daybreak, Cucumetto aroused his men and gave the word to march, but Carlini would not quit the forest, without knowing what had become of Rita's father. He went toward the place where he had left him. He found the old man suspended from one of the branches of the oak, which shaded his daughter's grave. Then he took an oath of bitter vengeance over the dead body of the one and the tomb of the other. But he was unable to complete this oath, for 2 days afterward, in an encounter with Roman carbineers, Carlini was killed. There was some surprise, however, that, as he was with his face to the enemy, he should have received a ball between his shoulders. That astonishment ceased when one of the brigands remarked to his comrades that Cucumetto was stationed 10 paces in Carlini's rear when he fell. On the morning of the departure from the forest of Frosinone, he had followed Carlini in the darkness and heard his oath of vengeance, and, like a wise man, anticipated it. They told 10 other stories of this bandit chief, each more singular than the other. Thus, from Fondi to Perugia, everyone trembles at the name of Cucumetto. These narratives were frequently the theme of conversation between Luigi and Teresa. The young girl trembled very much at hearing the stories, but Vampa reassured her with a smile, tapping the butt of his good fowling piece, which threw its ball so well, and if that did not restore her courage, he pointed to a crow, perched on some dead branch, took aim, touched the trigger, and the bird fell dead at the foot of the tree. Time passed on, and the 2 young people had agreed to be married when Vampa should be 20 and Teresa 19 years of age. They were both orphans, and had only their employer's leave to ask, which had been already sought and obtained. One day, when they were talking over their plans for the future, they heard 2 or 3 reports of firearms. And then suddenly a man came out of the wood, near which the 2 young persons used to graze their flocks, and hurried towards them. When he came within hearing, he exclaimed, "I am pursued! Can you conceal me?" Alrighty, welcome back to the show, the Countdown of Monte Cristo show, where we are reading the Countdown of Monte Cristo. You know this. You're in the middle of the chapter, for goodness sake. I, on the other hand, haven't recorded in 2 weeks, and really needed a primer on what was happening here, and have come to the conclusion that, listen, you're just some advice. You don't have to take it. It's just for your consideration, okay? If you find yourself doing a daily podcast where you're reading 1 page out of a story every single day, and that story happens to have a story within a story within a story, don't take 2 weeks off, because you might lose track of how many layers of the story you are talking about. I had to go and reread the last couple of pages because I had forgotten that Carlini and Cucumetto was a story that was affecting Luigi and Teresa, but this is all a story that Pastrini is telling to Franz and Albert. Holy cow. But this whole chapter, lest we have forgotten, is learning who Luigi Vampa is in relation to his danger to Franz and Albert's trip to see Carnival at Rome. Via carriage, via boat. Remember, they were going to leave and come through the port of the Porta del Popolo or the Porta San Giovanni, and you will leave by one, but I doubt very much that you will return by the other, is what Pastrini said about Vampa being out there hunting the streets. We are learning about Vampa. Vampa was learning about Carlini and Cucumetto. Now Vampa and his sweetheart Teresa are coming in contact with a man running from the forest. I was put in mind of, depending on your age, you may or may not get this reference, but Mel Brooks's Robin Hood Men in Tights, when that teenage kid comes running out of the forest right up to the camera and does the little Macaulay Culkin scream and then runs away. That's certainly not the tone that is happening here, but just a man running from the edge of the wood toward Luigi and Teresa, being pursued by someone, asking, "Can you conceal me?" Now, we talked a little bit ago about what stories within stories do, and now, if we hadn't gone into that Cucumetto and Carlini story, we wouldn't feel any danger for Luigi and Teresa here because, well, we don't know who this man is yet, but knowing that Cucumetto is out there and really dangerous, willing to shoot a man in the back, as he did with Carlini, as it's implied, or as I'm inferring, maybe it's not implying, I think it's implied, but we wouldn't feel the danger for Luigi and Teresa had we not gone through that story. So where am I going with this? I'm going here with it, which is I think that this whole Luigi and Teresa story is going to do the same for Albert and Franz, and possibly, maybe, Albert and Franz will also tell us something about Dante. Did not expect a puzzle box in the Countdown of Monte Cristo. But here we are, unraveling layers, like we're Shrek. Okay, that's all I've got for today. I'm glad the Carlini and Cucumetto story is over. It was very tragic. I don't want to comment on it anymore. I feel like we have gone to some pretty dark places on the show already, so let's just take the lessons from it and move forward and see who this crazed man running from the wood is tomorrow. Okay, until then, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.